so fun part of Final Tribal Council first, and then we will go into me explaining how Final Tribal Council will work. So, guys, I want to say first, like, congratulations, Final Three, and I just don't want to get into this part, but obviously a rule was put into place at the beginning of the season, and you guys were told that if you guys broke the rules, cheating, cross-communication, talking to players not in the game, etc., 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 then you would not get the money. The money would go to a charity. And earlier, I talked with the jury, and each and every one of you guys were exposed in some shape or way by a screenshot of doing something. So I'll just go over that really quickly. Obviously, Tristan, you know yours was early on in the season, the talking to people on FaceTime that was posted. Ned, you were smoothing things over with the juror and then asking if you had a shot at winning the game and stuff like that. And then Dimmy, I had one of you talking to people on the edge of extinction and telling, before you were on the edge, telling them to not trust other people on the edge. So you guys all at some point did break the rules. That being said, I just feel like there's, like, obviously that doesn't take away from your win, and that people really shouldn't look at that tonight because all three of you did cheat and all three of you did break the rules. But when it comes to the money, like, the rules were set in place and I feel like they were meant to be followed, and there's things that money could go to for a better cause. So I will be asking you guys to pick a charity. If you don't have a charity in mind, I would like to recommend the Lebanon the Blood Cross. Red Cross. There we go.
Cross.
Because I know they need blood right now due to the explosion in Lebanon. That being said, you guys are more than welcome to pick anything that is near and dear to your heart. So if you guys want to, like, say what charity you will be giving it to, then before we get started, feel free to do that.
Can you, like, split it up? Like,
Demi wants to do the Trump campaign.
oh my god.
Yeah, if you, like, wanted to, like, say you win and you wanted to do 150 to one charity, 150 to another charity, that's totally fine.
Yeah. Okay. So, like,
have,
probably
like, a
the
charity in mind?
Lebanon one and
Okay.
the Breonna Taylor.
Okay.
I'm probably gonna be doing a couple that Tia sent me. Thank you, Tia. Definitely, like, Lebanese Red Cross, and I think I'm gonna donate some to her church as well.
Okay.
And that's also gonna be money that I don't win too, like, from like my personal money as well.
Yeah.
Okay, and Ned.
And anything that can help the Lebanon situation, whatever I can do for that, if I get anything.
Okay. I'm sure if we need more information on, like, Lebanon, like, Tia would probably be a perfect person to talk to, so we can talk about that and stuff. I think what I've seen is the Red Cross is probably the best one to go with. I do want to say thank you guys, and I hate, like, saying that. Like, obviously you could tell, like, I didn't enjoy saying that part. I would more than anything would like to be like, yes, everyone played so fairly, it was great, and then give it the money, but things happen and I get it, and I'm, like, not mad or upset. And honestly, worst comes worst, this is an Instagram game and everyone played, had a good time, and that money is going to go to somebody that needs it, so all good. And that goes for first, second, and third place. Like, the money will go to whichever charities you pick, however you would like to split up. So I will talk with you guys probably after finale, and, like, when things are revealed, how you would like to split that money up. So thank you guys. That being said, I say that so much, but anyways, I'm going to explain to you guys how this Final Tribal Council is going to work. Most of you should probably know because you have been to Final Tribal Council. Some of you have not, but I'll go over that very quickly. Justin says he has never. That is true. Welcome to Final Tribal Council, Justin. So the way Final Tribal Council is going to work is, at first you guys are going to each give an opening statement. This has a 2-minute time limit, and I will time that. And if you go past it, I'll say sorry, thank you, next person. Those have been randomized into an order, and I will say who goes first and second and last, like that. Then once we do that, we will go to the jury questioning, and we will go down the order of the jury based off of when they went home or went to the edge, you know what I mean? And if they're not here or can't go at the moment, we will skip them and go to the next person, and we will come back to them. And then from there, so like I said, each time you answer a question, you only have 3 minutes. And I will try to be, like, if I feel like you're wrapping it up and you're like 3 minutes and 10 seconds, I'll try to, like, let you wrap it up. But if I don't think you are, I'm going to kind of cut you off. So I hate to do that, but there's just a lot of people, a lot of questions, everything. And then final statement, you guys have 6 minutes. if I feel like you're finishing it up and you're a little past 6 minutes, I'll let you go on. If I think you don't sound like you're ending anytime soon, maybe I'll give you like a 1 minute warning, kind of give you a heads up, and I will try to cut you off. And for those, when I say final statement, like I probably will give you, if like you went over, I'll be like, all right, you went over 6 minutes, just kind of wrap it up. And I'm sorry if I have to cut you guys off, but that's probably going to happen. So I'm at this final tribal council. That being said, once everything is done, all of that process is done. Also, final statements have been randomized as well. Once that is all done and the jury feels like they have everything they need, I will say, all right, guys, 5 minutes to vote for the last time ever in Reality Noted history. And then the jury will submit their votes to their voting DM. And then sometime later, probably next week, I probably won't announce a date until like tomorrow or like Saturday or something of when the finale is going to air. I've already been editing a bunch of stuff. So like all the confessionals that have been sent already have like music and are in a background and everything like that. But it just depends on which day I decide to do it. Like a day I don't have work and a day that I think is a good day, I'll announce that to you guys and let you guys know. That being said, I think we're ready to get started. All right. So up first for their opening statement is going to be Ned. Ned, you have 2 minutes.
Hello. Okay. So coming to this game, I obviously did not do that well in rock bottom or second chances, getting 10th and 12th. And being in rock bottom, I was in a minority and I wasn't able to get to the end and be taken down by a majority alliance. And in second chances, I led a majority alliance but was taken down by an idol and I trusted way too many people. Big factor in both of those seasons was I wasn't able to trust. I trusted way too many people and that was my downfall. So coming into the season, I had a different strategy, and that was something that I don't think the jury is going to like, and that was to be quite the selfish player, determined player, and to be a fighter. I was describe my game as survival, and each portion of the game, I was doing something different. An obstacle was thrown at me, a challenge was thrown at me, and I was able to adapt through many pieces to get myself to the end. It's important for the final three to adapt their own game, and I can adapt and own my own game, and I do recognize that I was a liar. I threw people under the bus. I broke promises, and I did what I had to do to get to the end and position myself to get to the final three. My name has been thrown out there since the pre-merge and through basically every vote during the merge until the end. I took the game where I've never played before, and I played for myself and myself only. I struggle with always doing things for other people and trusting too many people, but in this game, I was my number one priority throughout the entire game, and hopefully I can talk about more of my gameplay and my moves through questioning at the final speech at the end.
All right. Thank you so much, Ned. Up next, we have Tristan. Tristan, you have 2 minutes starting now.
All right. Hey, guys. Okay, so tonight the season is finally coming to an end, and hopefully tonight I will be able to prove to you all why I believe you should vote for me to be this season's winner. Whatever presumptions you may have had about me prior to tonight, I hope that you can respectfully put those to the side and just hear me out, as I will do my best to answer whatever questions you may have honestly and respectfully. Whether you choose to vote me in the end or not, I will still walk away from the season with so many great memories, and I'm really grateful to have met some of you for the first time in this game. I really have enjoyed my experience here on this season, and I feel as though I have accomplished so much more than I did on my original season. My main goal coming in here was just to be able to show others that they did underestimate me on my last season and even still in this season. And I wanted to be able to prove myself as a strong and independent player so that those who thought I couldn't make it here on my own will finally see that I could. Once again, please hear me out, and I will do the best I can when answering your questions honestly. Even if you don't believe that I am the most deserving to win sitting here tonight, I hope you can still acknowledge my game and be able to respect and notice a lot of the behind-the-scenes work that I have done to get here undetected. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Tristan. And now, Demi.
Okay, so I'd like to say thank you, Drew, for inviting me back for this final season. Going into my previous 2 seasons, I placed pre-jury twice, and going into this season, I want to prove that I deserve to be an all-star, like I was an all-star, and I want to prove that, and I feel like now sitting in the final 3, I feel like I proved that I am an all-star. I feel like I played behind the scenes. I had to play from the bottom sometimes from majority. I feel like I was placed in a bad spot at the start, but then I feel like I made my way back to the top near the end, and I feel like I maintained a pretty good balance, um, throughout the game. And even though I was voted out, coming back into the game, I feel like I had to learn a new dynamic, and I think I shifted well with that dynamic. But uh, overall, I think I played a social game, and even though some of you might think that I was a minion to Evan, I feel like I'm gonna tell you why I was not a minion and why I played my own game. And yeah,
All right. Thank you, Demi. Now we can start to get into the jury questioning. And up first, we have David.
Hello, hello, hello. All right, I get to start off, and with me today are 13 other jurors who are not going to make it easy on you three tonight. You guys are not going to have a great night. Forewarning, it's going to get ugly. Get ready. I'm sorry, that's just how it is. The 14 of us total aren't super stoked, I'll be honest, about the three people who are here. We were hoping for stronger play from at least one person to vote for. But at the end of the day, it's not about voting for who played a great game. It's who played better than the other two people sitting next to them. So, thankfully, playing a great game isn't required. So, let's start with Tristan. Tristan, if I could sum up your game in one word from a jury standpoint, invisible. I didn't know what you were thinking ever. I didn't know what you were doing. I didn't know why you were doing it. When it came to tribals, I never heard you rarely talked when it came to tribals. I got no sense of your strategy. The people who came out said similar things. You know, you were perceived as a floater behind Daniel until Daniel got cut off, and then nothing. We just had nothing from you. Sometimes even when I was trying to tally up people, I forgot that you were still in the game. So I need to know, if I'm going to have any reason to vote for you tonight, what was your social strategy, especially after Daniel left, that got you to this point? And please give me an example.
All right. So I want to say, start off by saying that I don't necessarily regret still working with the people that I worked with, because I was surrounded by a lot of people who may have had bigger reputations, especially in their previous seasons compared to me. And even going into this season, I feel like there were going to still be some people that I may not have socialized with enough. So, of course, when you're looking at an alliance, I'm not always going to be looked at as the bigger player here, which in all honesty, I'm kind of grateful for, because it kind of let me be able to stay behind the scenes. I was never brought any attention in the game, which can be looked at either as a bad thing or a good thing. I choose to look at it as a really good thing, that people didn't look at me in a certain way or a certain bad way. And even just a certain point in the game, in the merge, having Daniel by my side, it did hurt my game. I'm not gonna lie, because
Okay, Tristan, you don't have much time. I need you to answer my question.
Okay, so I think I was really grateful to have lost Daniel, because it did open more doors, more people to talk to and work with moving forward after that. So.
Okay, do you have any examples? Like, what did you do? Because you did manage to be on the right side of a lot of votes, but I don't know if that was just because you were added to the vote or you were behind some of them. So I need to know what your strategy was.
So when it came to the first merge vote, it was originally going to be Rod, but then Rod had quickly became aware of his name going around. So eventually I was just like, okay, nobody's saying a name. We literally sat in a room for about 5 minutes, nobody's saying anything. So I'm like, okay, well, I don't see why people can't just say a name. Like, why not just do Tia? I mean, she's like a big threat in my eyes. I think she's very, very smart and everything. There are also sometimes certain votes that people wanted like Ned out, and I felt like Ned was going to be somebody that I'd rather sit with in the end. So I was going to always put my opinion into whatever plan was said, and
Okay.
And yeah, thank you.
Thank you. All right. So let's go on to Demi then. I'll try to make this brief. Demi, if I had to describe your game in one word, to me it appeared a little uninvolved. And I want you to change that narrative for me, because when I saw you through the beginning part of the game, it did not seem like you were the person who was heading the votes. You kind of just tagged along. Then you got voted out. Then you came back into the game, and we were expecting like big things, and it kind of seemed like more of the same until Final Four. There was a point where, there was even a tribal where you came in and you said, yeah, I'd be willing to vote Evan out. And then later that same tribal, it was at Final Six, you said, geez, I hope Evan has the idol. So it was hard to believe that that was a total part of your strategy. However, power to you at Final Four, you did vote him out, and that is the reason why you have a good chance of winning, because if Evan made Final Four, he would have won. So, or Final Three, not Final Four. So I need to know from your game, people will ask you about stuff you did strategy-wise after you came off of Edge and beforehand. I need to know, since I spent the longest time on Edge, what did you do on Edge that really allowed you to succeed?
Okay, so like on Edge, like what happened on Edge?
Mm-hmm. How did you get back into the game?
I feel like I use my social abilities to get back into the game. I feel like many people were making deals like, I'll put you number 4, I'll put you number 3, and I was agreeing with those deals. But like at the end of the day, I did lie to some people. Like for example, Tia, we made a deal to put each other first, and I put her like 5th on my list. Daniel, we made a deal to put each other first. I put him first. He's the only person that I'm pretty sure like I was 100% like telling the truth to, because I put him first. Emily, we made like a fourth place duo, and I put her last. You, David, I put you 7th because I knew that you had an advantage that was going to help you get back into the game. And I think putting you 7th helped me get back into the game. And I used like my social abilities. I created those deals, and most of the time those deals helped me. They put me high on the rankings. I don't think I was last on anyone's rankings, and I think that definitely helped me to get back in the game.
Yeah. We agreed to 3rd. Putting me 7th got you back into the game. So good call. Yeah. Great call. All right, and Ned, you said, if you could describe your one word, you said survival. My one word for you is counterintuitive, especially if your goal was survival, because it seemed like almost every move you made hurt you. I will say, out of the 3 people that are here, you did have the most impact on some of these votes. The problem was your impact was, it hurt you. It ended up putting you in bad spots. You put yourself into bad spots by different ways you voted, by misvoting, by accidentally throwing a vote, or maybe it was purposeful, but either way, you would put yourself purposefully into bad spots. I know one time you intentionally tried to do it to get that legacy, and then you wasted it. So I need to know, what was your strategy? Why should I give you a vote? Because right now it seemed like you were doing everything you could to get yourself voted out.
Well, I'm going to stick by saying that my strategy was survival. Every single tribal council, I basically, even with the first tribal council, I knew that Tia was actually getting votes, but no one who was voting Tia out told me that Tia was getting votes, except Griffin. So I knew that I had to vote Rod to act like I wasn't actually, because they didn't tell me, so I had to act like that I didn't know that Tia was getting votes. So I voted Rod purposely, knowing that half of the people that voted Tia weren't telling me that it was Tia, and only one person told me it was Tia. So I purposely voted Rod for that reason, because they already didn't trust me to tell me that actual vote was Tia. And then I threw votes in the vote where I voted Emily P and Tristan. I was approached with a plan to vote out Emily P and Tristan, but in fact, everyone who was part of that plan were lying to me and saying that they were actually voting out Emily, Buff, and Daniel. And I found out that they were actually voting out Emily, Buff, and Daniel, but I continued to still vote Tristan and Emily P to act like I was following their plan. So it was just a bunch of, when I was throwing like my multiple votes, it was for the reason why I was trying to act like I was still with them, and my strategy to keep surviving, because I knew that every time, like especially with the Simona vote, that vote was something that I struggled with, because I didn't know that Simona was actually getting votes, and she told me vote Emily P and she's going to survive. And I just made a connection with Emily P to vote. I just voted her before, and we promised that we wouldn't vote each other out. And if I voted her and I went to rocks and I survived the rocks, then me and Emily's peer relationship would be completely done and to be screwed over completely. So I decided to try and get votes on Justin. Did it work? No, but I tried to keep surviving, making sure that I wasn't the one that was going home and it was other people. They could have been my allies in the end of the day, but I was my number one priority because, as I said in my statement at the start, I always in games try and play for other people, but this game I was playing for myself.
All right. Quick tip going forward, you might want to change your tune because you're proving my word of counterintuitive correctly. All right, I'm done.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, David. Can you guys still hear me? I feel like I'm roboting. Okay, cool. Thank you, David. Up next, we have Austin.
Wait, can y'all hear me? Okay. Hi. So I first just want to say congratulations to you three. I mean, you all got here, so you must have done something to get here, whether it was on your own merit or not. But I do have a question for each of you. So Tristan, I just want to know, like, because I feel like even though we were on the same tribe, I didn't really like get to know you in this game. So I just kind of know like your biggest game move that was your own and solely yours and no one else's. Like just like something you did that was your own move, 100%.
Okay, so I would have to say it would be during like merge when Emily, somebody that I had closely worked with from the beginning in 80s tribe, we had kind of trusted each other but had still worked our own ways separately a little bit. But she had informed me about the idol that she found, and eventually I was going to let her know because I didn't want to run with the majority alliance the entire game. So eventually when she was the vote, I told her that she was the vote and that I would have preferred Evan to go home that night, which didn't work because I wasn't sure whether or not Timmy and Evan had a half idol, which I didn't know about. But it would have worked because I let her know. I told her to play her idol. She was hesitant, but she ended up playing it. And I still voted Emily to not cause any suspicion. And I informed Bella on that as well. So those were the two votes going to Evan that night. But he was smart and he played his half idol. So that ended up saving himself. But I still felt like it would have been really good if it had worked.
Okay. I mean, I can't really like clarify, or I mean, not clarify, like speak for that because I wasn't there. But I guess other members of the jury will say if that's true or not when I check the jury chat. But Ned, I have a question for you now. I just first want to say I've never really played with someone who has managed to piss off every single member of the jury like you have. It's really because like even when I get to Final 3 in games, usually people don't want to vote for me, but like this is a new level. I've never seen this before. But anyways, my question for you is you said your game is based on survival, and I just want to know in an all-star season, why should the jury reward someone who just played the game based off surviving, not actually doing anything else but just trying to survive? Like, I don't know why you should vote for that.
Yeah. Multiple occasions throughout the game, I tried to push forth doing particular moves and try and take a leadership role, but it never really worked. And I learned from the fact that if I keep doing this, then I'm just going to get targeted. So I to survival mode and I went, okay, I have to think about each move and which move will get me further down the line. And I tried to push for a move where I tried to get Daniel out. I tried to push to get Sophia out at the first tribal council and it didn't work. I tried to do play the leader role and try and get big people out, but it just didn't work. So I had to take a step back and I had to think, okay, how am I going to get to the end and make little moves to get to the end and where it's not me and it's other people instead.
But if you were a juror, would you want to vote for someone who just played based off surviving, not actually like taking the reins ever in the game?
I feel like I would consider everything, if I'm being completely honest.
Okay.
Different ways of playing Survivor, not just playing big bold and playing big moves all the time.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I do have more questions, but like I don't want to like use all my time for that. But I'm sure you'll be getting many more questions tonight. So, Demi, my last question / statement is for you. I honestly feel like you were in the best position in this final three tonight, and I just want to let you know that the questions you're going to get coming up, just answer them honestly and be just good of what you say, because you're in the perfect position right now. So I'm just letting you know that. But my question to you is, I feel like the one thing that's holding you back tonight is people's perception on your connection with Evan. And I just want you to clarify, because you said this in your opening statement. I just want you to clarify for everybody. You said you were not Evan's dog or sheep or whatever. Just give us some proof on that. Give us some insight, because I just want you to really delve into like why that's not true.
I feel like that's not true, because there was many times where, yeah, I voted with Evan, but the only reason I voted with Evan at that moment was because he was a number to me. He was an ally. And coming back from the edge, he was someone who had never voted me, and he was someone who I could trust and like have like vote with him. And yeah, but going into Final Five, the Jordan vote off, I knew that Jordan probably would not beat me in the probably would beat me in the final three, and I was in a plan with Ned and Tristan to vote off Jordan, and Evan knew about this, but he wanted to keep his idol on me. So I like convinced him to keep playing the idol on me, and he did play the idol on me. So I feel like that was the first time I didn't vote with him, and I think that showed that I wasn't going to vote with him every single tribal up until Final Four. And then Final Four, I voted him out because I wasn't winning against him.
Okay. So was that always your plan to vote him out at Final Four? Like, were you even like contemplating it at all? Like, were you ever going to send him the fire? Like, was that actually a debate in your mind, or were you always sending him home with your vote?
Starting from the final six, I knew that Evan was a big threat. So I kind of used him as a shield, because whenever Evan was still in the game, I felt like they would have targeted him first instead of me. So like if Evan was in final six, I would have been in final five, because they would have targeted him unless he won the immunities. And then I had idols, he had idols to like back me up and keep me safe. And then at final four, the only reason I didn't want to vote out Evan was because I didn't want to like lose a friend there. But I didn't think I wasn't like planning to send him to fire against Ned, because like he's gonna beat Ned. That's what I felt like, he was gonna beat Ned, and that would have been another thing that he won fire. That's another thing for him to win the game, and that's the reason why I didn't send him to fire, and I wasn't thinking about sending him to fire.
Yeah. Okay. Those are all my questions, but thank you.
All right, thank you, Austin. Up next, we have Tia.
Hi. First, I wanted to say thank you to all three of you guys. For all of you planning to contribute at least a little bit to Lebanon Fund. I think everyone knows like that's very close to home. Like I grew up parts in that city, and like I have friends like still on life support and shit, and family members who lost life and like work. So I really, 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 really appreciate that. And that being said, I love all three of you. So if I do come off a little harsh in what I'm about to say, I apologize. Okay. So having allies in this game is important. I think everyone can agree that you cannot win without allies, but there is a line between playing with your allies and playing for your allies. I think it's safe to say that all three of you hid behind the alliances you were in, and if you didn't, you were just brought here because you were an easy win and nobody trusted you enough to actually be in an alliance. I would like each of you to convince me that you played with your allies, not for them. And please show me something that you specifically orchestrated or led the initiative for yourself that wasn't for the benefit of others. I'm not asking for a move that you did alone. I'm asking for something that benefited you and solely you, considering I'm currently under the impression all three of you played for others except Ned. I don't know who you played for, but based on what the jury thinks, it was not playing for you. I don't care who goes first.
I guess I'll go first then. Okay, so obviously everybody at the beginning of the merge kind of pinned me towards Daniel and had kind of said that I was playing for him and everything like that. But there was one move that I had done or that had benefited me and solely me. I had still I had still communicated with people that were outside of my alliance, like Simona, Demi, and Ned. Ned and Evan. And I did mention to people like Simona that I was willing to turn on Daniel when it came time to, and soon enough. And then what kind of like twisted that was the duo twist that had ended up happening. And at that point, just based on numbers and everything, I knew that it was either going to be me, Dejan, or Daniel. I had thrown Daniel's name out at that tribal council to Simona and Ned, who seemed hesitant, but eventually I think Simona did do it. I'm not saying I came up with that plan or anything, but I was saying that I was willing to do that, but I didn't get any word back from them on that one. So I kind of had known that Daniel was going to be leaving that tribal, and I didn't tell him because I know that he is very good at conversating, very good at communicating to people. So I think him leaving, prior to that also, people they were hesitant to talk to me because they were worried about what I would say to other people. So that was kind of me just opening up to other people, willing to start new alliances and new bonds moving forward to help myself in the game and not other people.
Really quick, Tristan, just like a quick clarification. I did hear coming into this season and throughout the season that you had said preseason on a FaceTime call or a text something that you and Christian were coming into this game to play for Daniel to win. Is that true? Did you ever say that?
No, and I actually don't even know who said that because I never once said that.
Okay, I just
to
wanted to make
anybody.
sure.
I'm serious.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
No matter what game I'm in, I'm always
I
gonna
can also vouch that conversation never happened.
Okay.
There's no point in me playing this game if it was for somebody else.
Maybe it was just Christian, but I heard it was both, but that's fine.
Should I go? Okay. In this game, I began this game to play with my allies. I was in a 4-person alliance with Simona, Griffin, and Brandon at the start of the game, and I was definitely leading the fact that we needed to go after Sophia at the beginning of the game, but it just didn't end up working out, and I found out the fact that I had to start playing for myself, and I kind of started to forget the fact that I needed to play with my allies instead of playing for myself. In the merge, I tried to make a move for myself that didn't benefit my allies whatsoever. I got Simona and Emily to vote off Daniel instead of voting off Dejan when Demi went home, and it didn't benefit Emily's game whatsoever because Emily was already close with Daniel, and I benefited my game because I wanted to try and make the move against Daniel. It didn't necessarily work, but that's something that I tried to do for myself instead of my other allies in the game, and yeah, that's basically a move that I did that didn't work. Yeah.
Okay, so for me, I think a move that benefited me was voting out Griffin because 5 minutes before tribal, the vote was gonna be Ned, but then I knew from Ned because he was on the other side. I would get information from Ned, so I pushed for Griffin to get the votes last 5 minutes, and it ended up happening. And then throughout the game, me and Ned had a plan to tell each other who the vote is on each side, and that's how we knew like who to vote, who to play idols on, and yeah.
All right, I think Tia is done asking questions. Thank you so much, Tia. And up next, we will go to Rod. If Rod is able to ask, I don't know if he's still packing or what.
Yeah, I can go.
All right, up next is Rod.
Okay. So first and foremost, I want to say thank you to Drew and whoever else helped with this season for giving me the opportunity to play again after rock bottom. It has been a hell of a ride, and to think that the end of the franchise of Reality Noted is gonna end with one of these three is, but I suppose we have to make the best of it. And I won't make this as long as my final speech from rock bottom. Drew and Ned know how long that was, but just know I have a lot to say. I'll try to be quick. this is how this will work. I will just tell you guys my take on all of you, and then I'm just going to ask a very, very simple question. It shouldn't even take long. All right, so Demi, I'm just going to start with you. Demi, basically the entire jury believes you kind of rode Evan's coattails for a majority of the merge. I know you talked about it, but from your first vote off to you even re-entering the game, I personally didn't really see you doing anything up until you voted Evan out, but you kind of had to vote him out because it was kind of forward, and if you didn't vote him out and you forced rocks, yeah. But if I'm being quite honest with you, Demi, you did play a rather decent game. Well, you played a decent game, at least better than the other two, I feel like. You found an idol clue. You found an actual idol. You had the like half idol thing that you used with what's his face with Evan. You played the half idol correctly. And I think you only got 2 votes since you came back into the game, I think. So that was good. And you also went against Evan in voting out Jordan, which I can applaud. That was a good move, if I'm being quite honest. And at the moment, you're probably going to get my vote, if I'm being quite honest. But I don't want to count Tristan out, not yet. So, and speaking of you, Tristan, I'm going to move right straight into you. One thing I have heard about you is that you don't want to be looked at as a sheep, as Daniel's sheep. And if I'm being quite frank, quite honest, you didn't really do a good job of showing you aren't a sheep or you weren't a sheep. I didn't see much of you. Like David said, you were very invisible. Didn't see that much. And even when Daniel did get voted out, you still hid behind others. And I want to know your game. I want to know what you did. I know you're trying to answer. Your answers aren't that great. But when people ask you your questions, just make sure you answer them. Don't try to like beat around the bush. Answer them straightforward and like straight up. I also want to know just like what did you really do in the game? Like when did you do them and how did that affect you? Or did you really just cower behind the bigger targets and you just floated your way here? Hopefully I will find out a little more about you and your game tonight. But so far, in my head at least, you're nobody and you really didn't do that much. But I do hope you prove me wrong. Now, last but not least, we have Ned. Ned, I think a lot of people will be saying some things about you tonight, which is pretty negative. I will be one of those people. Ned, you are the biggest follower and by far the dumbest person to play this game, at least this season. To be quite honest, I don't know how you are considered to be an all-star because you have never done something in this game on rock bottom, on second chances, on all-stars. And I mean, let's just start at the tribal before the merge when Jade left. You were the most paranoid person on the planet, more than even Austin, and we all know how Austin was. Yeah, Justin, I see you. Yeah, we know how Austin was. And you knew that Jade was leaving, but you were still super paranoid for whatever reason. Moving into the merge, you decided that you wanted to vote in the majority. And, you know, that's fine. Everyone wants to vote in the majority the first time around, obviously. But in doing so, you turned on the people who had your back over anyone. You were so damn obsessed with voting in majority that you couldn't even see that these people were lying straight to your face. They didn't even want to tell you about the Tia vote. You said one person told you, okay, cool. What about everyone else? You had one person tell you, and you still didn't vote in that majority. But moving forward, that was your first mistake. You put your trust in the wrong people, and then you claimed you were at the bottom when in actuality, you have absolutely no clue what it means to be at the bottom. I know what it means to be at the bottom, and Dejan knows what it means to be at the bottom, but you, not so much. I mean, quite honest. But moving on, your second mistake was voting Daniel and pushing Emily and Simona to vote him as well when you knew he was playing the idol on himself. Evan told me that you knew about the idol play, that Daniel was going to play it on himself, and you could have gotten the biggest threat, Dejan, out of the game. You were so sad and obsessed with voting out Daniel that you were okay with risking your own ally going to the edge in Demi. You would think your mistakes in there, but alas, here we go. You voted out Emily after she was loyal to you and had your back. You voted Justin instead of voting Emily P, knowing your ally, Simona, was at risk, and ended up losing Simona in a process where you still claimed you were at the bottom. So, like I said before, you were never at the bottom, if I'm being quite honest. But you did put yourself in that position. and that's just all you. Anywho, you only made it to this point because of the Twitch Jordan released. You really should have been snuffed because of how bad of a game you played, and you only made it to the final three because of how bad of a player you are, and everyone knew that they could beat you by a landslide at the final tribal council. But truly, I digress. Ned, the only good thing I can say about your game is that you knew you weren't going to win at the end, so you threw out the bigger targets' names and didn't have any repercussions. And that was at final 7, final 8. But after all of that, now I'll just be asking my question. And my question is, and you guys can go in whatever order you want. Why do you think you were even considered to be an all-star? And do you think you proved that this season? Let the jury know.
I'll start. Can I just touch on a few things that you said in the thing before? Basically, I didn't vote out Emily or Daniel number 1. The reason why I never knew that.
Ned, I didn't say that. I said you voted Daniel when he played his idol on himself at Demi's vote off. You voted Daniel, and Evan told me that you knew that Daniel was playing the idol on himself, and you also knew about the plan to vote out Dejan, yet you still voted Daniel, even though you knew he was playing an idol on himself. That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, I remember having this conversation with Evan afterwards. I never knew that Daniel was playing the idol on himself. I never knew that he was getting played on because if I knew that, then I was going to vote Dejan. And there was a plan to get Bella for him to play the idol on Bella instead of himself. So that's why we ended up doing Daniel and hoping that he would play the idol on Bella, because I had no idea that he was playing it on himself. And even Daniel said it was his gut feeling and he went with the instinct, and at tribal council that he played it on himself. So I had no idea that he was playing the idol on himself, first of all. Onto why I think I got into All-Stars in the first place was in my second chances. I think I got in by second chances because I did lead a majority alliance, and I did try and go for the bigger targets in second chances. I was one of the reasons why Tia went home in second chances, and I was also leading the pack to get Daniel out in second chances, but I obviously got idled out by trusting too many people. That's why I think I got into All-Stars in the first place. And this season, do I think I played an All-Star game? Some people might not think that I played an All-Star worthy game because I followed people where I was doing stuff that was beneficial for my own self to get all the way to the end. So I think I am an all-star player, but do I think other people played way more all-star worthy games that are sitting on the jury? I do, but I do think that I played a unique game that no one really expected, no one really respected, and no one really liked, but I still stand by the fact that I played that game and I played for myself and myself only, which I haven't been able to do in any other game. So yeah.
Just a quick PSA, Ned. Before you started talking about your other seasons, literally almost every person in the jury chat said that everything you said was a lie. So,
that's the truth, honest.
I'm just letting you know. I'm just letting you know. That's. Whoever wants to go next can go.
I can go next. Going into the game, a lot of people didn't think I was an all-star. I was brought into the game as a wild card with, like Justin was. But going into the game, I had been pre-jury both of the times I played. And I wanted to prove to people and to the viewers and to Drew, if he didn't think I was an all-star, that I am an all-star. And making it to the final three, I think out of a 30-person cast, outlasting 27 people, I think that's a good thing for me. And going into the game, I started a brand new strategy. Like, I decided to be more social this time around, and I decided to talk to more people, because before I felt like I wasn't socializing with the other castaways, and I feel like this time around I made sure to go to everyone and talk to everyone. And I feel like I played a pretty good all-star game. For me, I made the moves that I think were good for me. Every vote I casted was good for me, and that's why it got me to the final three. And yeah.
All right. I think I was considered an all-star and invited to this season because on my first season, it was one of my first face games in this fandom, And it was a transition from non-face-to-face, and it was a big step for me. And I came into that season not knowing anyone, literally not even a soul. And I still managed to make it all the way to the final five. I did a lot that many others couldn't that season. I won 2 individual immunities, and no matter what, I did what was best for me. Even in the final five, when I was closely aligned to somebody who was one of the front runners in the game, I still wanted him out eventually, but unfortunately, I was too surrounded by front runners in the game that it was over for me at that point. And even then, I would still went home 5th place, but I still think I did really good. And I think I still played all-star worthy this season because I also played for myself. I shouldn't be looked at as somebody who didn't do anything just because of the people I did align with. The people that I did align with obviously have been in this fandom a lot longer. They're more known. That's very apparent, and they are good players. But I never sat back and just was told what a plan was. I never went along with anything like that. I always made sure to give my opinion to whoever I was talking to. And I didn't stick to one thing. I definitely branched out a lot and tried talking to other people and making new alliances with other people to help benefit myself and take me farther into the game. And I think I still was able to do that. And I got to the final 3 out of 27 other people. So I'm really proud of myself, regardless of the outcome. I'm proud of everybody else as well. So I think it was a really good season. I know that the final 3 is not what anybody expected at all, but I don't know. I'm just really grateful for Reality Noted because it did give me a little bit more confidence. So thank you.
All right, thank you, Rod. Really quickly, guys, I'm going to stop this recording.